The red warning lights flashed across the bridge of the UES Thunderchild. Captain Michael Reynolds sat up straight in his command chair, his blue eyes fixed on the main screen. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, forgotten in the tension of the moment. "Sir, we're picking up a distress signal from Research Station Jupiter 7, called out Officer Linda Brooks from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display. It's not their usual check-in pattern. Reynolds nodded, his face showing no emotion even as his heart began to race. They had trained for this moment for years, but now that it was here, it felt surreal. "Put it on speakers, Linda." The voice that came through was filled with static and fear. "This is Dr. William Turner of Jupiter 7. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Multiple unknown vessels have appeared from behind Europa. They're not responding to our attempts to communicate. They've already destroyed 2 of our defense satellites. We need immediate assistance." The message cut off with a burst of static. Reynolds looked at his first officer, Amanda Parker, who was already pulling up tactical displays. "Show me the sensor readings," Reynolds ordered. The main screen changed to show 5 large ships, each one nearly twice the size of the Thunderchild. They moved with an odd grace, their purple-tinted hulls gleaming in Jupiter's reflected light. "Those are Calaxian ships," Amanda said, her voice steady but grave. "They match all our intelligence reports, but they were supposed to be peaceful. They've been watching us for months and never showed any sign of hostility." Reynolds stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. The crew watched him, waiting. They all knew what this meant. Humanity had prepared for this day, building ships and weapons in secret while pretending to be a young, peaceful species just beginning to explore space. "They think we're weak," Reynolds said, his voice carrying across the bridge. "They see our public space program, our simple satellites, and our research stations. They don't know about ships like the Thunderchild. They don't know what humanity is truly capable of." Just then, Technical Officer Robert Wilson called out from his station. "Captain, the aliens are broadcasting a message. It's being sent to all human frequencies." "Let's hear it," Reynolds ordered. A smooth, artificial voice filled the bridge. "People of Earth, this is Commander Vex of the Calaxian Empire. Your species has expanded beyond its rightful bounds. You occupy valuable space with your primitive technology and inefficient research stations. The Empire has determined that your territory would be better managed under our control. Surrender your outposts and return to Earth. This is your only warning." The bridge grew quiet. Reynolds felt a small smile form on his lips. "They have no idea," he said softly. Then, louder, "Battle stations. Bring all systems online. Drop the civilian transponder codes. Activate our true signature." The bridge erupted into activity. Hidden panels slid open, revealing advanced weapon systems. The ship's outer hull shifted, panels realigning to show its true military nature. The gentle hum of the engines changed to a deep, powerful throb as the ship's real power plants came online. "Send a message to Earth Command," Reynolds ordered. "Tell them it's begun. Request permission to demonstrate our actual capabilities." Linda's console lit up almost immediately. Response from Command: "Sir. Permission granted. Show them what humanity can do." Reynolds sat back in his command chair, his expression now determined. "Send a message to the Calaxian ships. This is Captain Michael Reynolds of the United Earth ship Thunderchild. We reject your demands. You have exactly 1 minute to withdraw from this solar system." "Sir," Amanda reported, checking her displays. "They're powering up weapons. Energy readings are exactly what our intel suggested. Their shields won't stand up to our railguns. They still think we're defenseless," Reynolds said. "That we only have chemical rockets and basic energy weapons." He watched as the alien ships moved into attack formation. "Let's show them how wrong they are. Weapons. Target their lead ship. Use a low-power shot. Let's see how their shields handle real human engineering." The Thunderchild's hidden weapon ports opened, revealing rows of advanced railguns and energy projectors that no alien race believed humans could possess. As the Calaxian ships approached, they had no idea they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The first shot was about to be fired in a war that would change the galaxy's understanding of human capabilities forever. Commander Lisa Thompson stood before the large screen in the Thunderchild's war room. Her hands moved quickly over the display, bringing up classified files that had been hidden from the public for decades. Captain Reynolds and the senior staff watched as images of advanced warships appeared one after another. "This is what we've been hiding," Lisa said, her voice filled with pride. "While we showed the galaxy our simple space stations and clumsy rockets, we were building these." She pointed to a massive ship on the screen. The Washington-class dreadnoughts. 5 of them, hidden in the asteroid belt. Each one carries enough firepower to take out a small moon. Reynolds leaned forward, studying the images. "How many ships do we actually have?" 342 combat-ready vessels, Lisa replied. "Most of them hidden in underground bases on Mars or inside hollow asteroids. The Thunderchild is just the tip of the iceberg." Officer Robert Wilson whistled softly. "No wonder we spent so much time practicing those fake distress calls whenever alien ships got close to our bases." The Calaxians bought our act completely, Amanda Parker added from her seat. "Every time they scanned us, we made sure they only saw what we wanted them to see: outdated technology and basic weapons." The room's lights dimmed as Lisa brought up a new display. "This is the best part. The Calaxians think their energy shields are advanced, but we've known how to beat them for years. Our quantum physics teams solved that puzzle back when we first detected alien signals in space." A message flashed on the main screen. Reynolds read it and smiled. "Well, looks like we get to prove it. Earth Command has given us permission to assemble a strike force. We're to gather 5 of our best ships and show the Calaxians exactly what they're dealing with." "Which ships, sir?" Lisa asked, already pulling up the fleet roster. "Get me the Defiant, the Yorktown, the Arizona, and the Enterprise," Reynolds said. "All of them have crews trained for this exact scenario. They can be here within 2 hours using the real drives, not the slow engines we show to aliens." The war room burst into activity. Officers moved quickly between stations, sending coded messages to the hidden ships. On the tactical display, small dots of light began to move from their hidden positions, heading toward the Thunderchild's location. "Sir," Robert called out, checking his readings. "The Calaxians are launching fighters. Looks like they're planning to attack the research station again." Reynolds stood up straight. "They still think we only have one advanced ship. Let them come." He turned to his crew. "This is what we've trained for. Humanity knew first contact might turn violent. That's why we spent 50 years preparing while pretending to be primitive." Lisa brought up one final image, a detailed scan of the Calaxian ships. "Their weak points are exactly where we predicted. Their ships use the same basic design as every other alien race we've secretly studied. They all think they're so advanced, but they stopped innovating centuries ago." "How long until our fleet arrives?" Reynolds asked. "The Defiant just dropped its cloak. It was hiding behind Europa this whole time," Amanda reported. "The others are accelerating to full speed. Yorktown reports 90 minutes. Arizona and Enterprise right behind them." Reynolds nodded and looked at each member of his crew. "Until they arrive, we play defense. Protect that research station, but don't show them everything we can do, just enough to keep them interested." Message from the Defiant. "Sir," Lisa said, "Captain Frank Miller says, and I quote, 'tired of pretending to be space rookies. Ready to show these aliens some real human ingenuity.'" The crew laughed, tension breaking for a moment. They had spent years acting weak, hiding their true strength, letting alien ships scan their primitive technology. Now they could finally stop pretending. "Send word to all ships," Reynolds ordered. "Weapons free, but stick to Protocol 3. gradually increasing show of force. Let's give the galaxy a lesson they'll never forget about underestimating humanity. On the main screen, the Defiant appeared next to the Thunderchild, its advanced hull gleaming. The two human ships faced the approaching Calaxian fleet, their hidden weapons ready. Soon, their pretense of weakness would be completely shattered, and the real strength of humanity would be revealed to the stars. The hidden arsenal was about to be unveiled, and the galaxy would never be the same. The space around Jupiter lit up with flashes of light. 3 massive Calaxian dreadnoughts moved toward the human ships, their purple energy weapons charging. Behind them, 2 smaller ships launched waves of fighters. Captain Reynolds watched from the Thunderchild's bridge as the enemy approached. "All hands, battle stations," he ordered calmly. "Time to show them what real human weapons can do." The Defiant moved into position beside the Thunderchild. Both ships had dropped their fake outer hulls, revealing sleek, dark metal frames covered in weapon ports. Amanda Parker monitored the tactical display, her fingers steady on the controls. "Calaxian ships are powering up their main guns," she reported. "They're targeting the research station first." "Not happening," Reynolds said firmly. "Lieutenant Cooper, activate the quantum shields." Full power. A blue field of energy surrounded both human ships. The Calaxians fired their first volley, bright purple beams of energy that they believed could cut through any defense. The shots hit the Thunderchild's shields and simply vanished. "Shield status?" Reynolds asked. "Shields holding at 100% stir," Cooper replied with a grin. "Their weapons aren't even making a dent. The quantum field is absorbing everything." On the main screen, they could see the Calaxian ships pause their advance. Clearly, they hadn't expected their weapons to fail so completely. A message came through on all channels. "This is impossible," the Calaxian commander's voice boomed. "Your primitive species cannot have such advanced shields." Reynolds smiled. "Return fire. Show them what a real human weapon system can do." Single rail gunshot, minimal power. The Thunderchild's main rail gun fired. A streak of blue light shot across space, moving far faster than the Calaxians thought possible. It struck the lid ship's shields. There was a flash, and suddenly a large hole appeared in the alien's energy barrier. "Direct hit," Amanda announced. "Their shields are down to 40% from a single shot. They're trying to restore power." The Defiant moved forward, its own weapons ready. Captain Frank Miller's voice came over the comm. "Save some for us, Reynolds. We've been waiting years to try these guns in real combat." More human ships appeared from behind Jupiter's moons. The Yorktown emerged from behind Io, its massive frame dwarfing the Calaxian vessels. The Arizona and Enterprise dropped their cloaking fields, revealing positions on either side of the alien fleet. 5 human ships. The Calaxian commander's voice shook with disbelief. "All with advanced technology. How did we not see them?" "You saw what we wanted you to see," Reynolds replied. "Last chance to retreat." Instead of running, the Calaxians launched all their fighters. Hundreds of small purple ships filled space, charging toward the human vessels with energy weapons blazing. "They never learn," Amanda said, shaking her head. "Launch our drones." Small ports opened on all 5 human ships. Thousands of tiny silver spheres shot out, each one controlled by advanced AI. The drones moved like a swarm of angry bees, easily dodging the alien fighter shots. "Drone swarms, engage," Reynolds commanded. "Non-lethal takedowns only. We want to send a message, not start a massacre." The silver drones surrounded the alien fighters. Each drone released a small EMP pulse, shutting down the Calaxian ships without harming their pilots. Within minutes, hundreds of disabled fighters drifted harmlessly in space. "Target their capital ships," Reynolds ordered. "Standard formation, full spread." All 5 human ships moved in perfect sync, their rail guns charging. The Calaxian dreadnoughts tried to turn, to bring their weapons to bear, but they were too slow. Fire. 5 brilliant blue beams cut across space. Each shot hit its target perfectly, slicing through the weakened alien shields like paper. The Calaxian ship's engines died, their weapons went dark, but their hulls remained intact. All enemy ships disabled. Amanda reported. No casualties. Their life support systems are functioning, but everything else is offline. Reynolds stood from his chair and looked at his crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Jupiter defense was successful, and send one to the Calaxians too. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss terms of surrender. The bridge crew cheered as the disabled Calaxian ships drifted in space, surrounded by 5 human warships that had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Humanity's first real space battle was over, and they had won without losing a single life. Lieutenant James Cooper stared at his screen in the Thunderchild science lab, his eyes wide with excitement. After studying the disabled Calaxian ships for 6 hours, he had found something important. Captain Reynolds, he called over the ship's comm. You need to see this right away. Reynolds arrived at the lab minutes later, followed by Technical Officer Robert Wilson. Cooper pointed to a detailed scan of the Calaxian ship's power systems. Look at their engine design, Cooper said, zooming in on the image. They use magnetic fields to contain their power cores. But these fields have a major weakness. They're extremely sensitive to electromagnetic pulses. Reynolds leaned closer to the screen. You're saying we can shut down their ships without firing a shot? Exactly, Cooper nodded. Their whole fleet would be helpless against a strong enough EMP burst. They never thought to shield against it because no other alien race uses this technology. The captain smiled. Good work, Lieutenant. Robert, can we modify our ships to generate these pulses? Wilson was already doing calculations on his tablet. Better than that, sir. We can tune our regular weapons to produce EMPs. Give me 2 hours, and I'll have all 5 ships ready. Just then, Amanda Parker's voice came over the comm. Captain to the bridge immediately. We're picking up multiple signals from the Kuiper Belt. Reynolds rushed to the bridge, where the main screen showed dozens of new purple dots appearing. More Calaxian ships were arriving. A lot more. How many? Reynolds asked, settling into his command chair. 57 ships detected so far, Amanda replied, including 3 ships bigger than anything we've seen before. They must be their real battle fleet. Reynolds opened a channel to all human ships. All captains, battle meeting in 10 minutes. We need to plan our next move. In the Thunderchild's war room, the captains gathered around the tactical table. Frank Miller from the Defiant, Mary Thompson from the Yorktown, Peter Adams from the Arizona, and John Walker from the Enterprise, all present via secure hologram. The Calaxians have a staging area in the Kuiper Belt, Reynolds explained, pointing to the map. They're gathering their forces there, probably planning to overwhelm us with numbers. They still don't know about our stealth technology, Captain Thompson said. The Yorktown's new cloaking system is better than anything they have. Cooper stepped forward. And now we have a way to shut down their ships with EMPs, if we can get close enough. I have an idea. Wilson interrupted, pulling up a new display. We can modify our drone swarms to carry small EMP generators, send them in under cloak, then hit the whole fleet at once. The captains studied the plan. It was risky, but it could work. They had trained for years for exactly this kind of mission. What about their big ships? Captain Adams asked. Those new ones might have better defenses. That's why we hit them first, Reynolds said. Take out their flagships, and the rest will be confused and disorganized. They spent the next hour planning every detail. The Thunderchild and Defiant would approach openly, pretending to negotiate. Meanwhile, the Yorktown, Arizona, and Enterprise would sneak behind the Calaxian fleet under cloak. The drone swarms would move into position, hidden by the best stealth technology humanity had ever created. As the meeting ended, Captain Walker spoke up. They think they caught us by surprise with their first attack. Now it's our turn to surprise them. Back on the bridge, Reynolds watched as Wilson and Cooper worked quickly to modify their weapons. The crew moved with purpose, preparing for their biggest fight yet. "Message from Earth Command," Amanda reported. "They're sending backup, but it won't arrive for 6 hours. We'll be done by then," Reynolds said confidently. He opened a channel to the Calaxian fleet. "This is Captain Reynolds. We wish to discuss terms of surrender." As he spoke, the other human ships vanished from sensors. Cloaking systems engage. Thousands of tiny drones slipped away into space, completely invisible to Calaxian scanners. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the Calaxians to take the bait. Humanity's first major space battle was about to begin, and they had a plan that would show the aliens just how dangerous it was to underestimate Earth's technology. The counterattack was ready to begin. The vast space near Saturn's rings was quiet. Too quiet. The Calaxian invasion fleet hung in space like a swarm of purple hornets, their ships arranged in perfect attack formation. At the front, their new flagship, a massive vessel that gleamed with energy weapons, led the way. "Calaxian Commander," Captain Reynolds' voice transmitted from the Thunderchild. "We are ready to discuss our surrender. Please allow us to approach." The Thunderchild and Defiant moved slowly forward, looking like two lonely ships against an overwhelming force. Behind them, invisible to alien sensors, 3 human warships crept into position. Thousands of cloaked drones spread out like an invisible net. On the Calaxian flagship's bridge, Commander Vex laughed. "Look at them. Just 2 ships left. They know they cannot win against our full fleet." He turned to his officers. "Prepare to accept their surrender. The humans will learn their place in the galaxy." But Admiral Emily Davidson, hidden aboard her command ship in Saturn's rings, had other plans. She watched through advanced sensors as the trap was about to spring. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer whispered. "EMP drones in position. The Calaxians suspect nothing." Davidson's finger hovered over the command button. "Let's show them what a real fleet looks like. Execute Operation Blindside." Suddenly, Saturn's rings seemed to come alive. 20 more human warships dropped their cloaking fields, emerging from their hiding spots among the ice and rock. Each ship was bigger and more powerful than the Thunderchild. "What is this?" Commander Vex shouted as his sensors lit up with new contacts. "Impossible. They cannot have hidden such a fleet." Reynolds' voice came back over the comm, but this time without any fake surrender talk. "Now you see the truth. Humanity isn't weak. We were never weak. Admiral Davidson, the fleet is yours. All ships, fire EMP drones," Davidson commanded. "Standard attack pattern Delta." Thousands of tiny lights blinked into existence as the drones dropped their cloaks. Before the Calaxians could react, waves of electromagnetic pulses washed over their ships. Engines died. Weapons went dark. Shields flickered and failed. "Direct hit on 80% of enemy vessels," Davidson's tactical officer reported. "Their flagship's secondary systems are still online. They must have some shielding." "Time for Phase 2, Davidson ordered. "All ships, form up. Show them what human warships can really do." The human fleet moved with perfect precision. Years of secret training paid off as 23 warships executed complex maneuvers that the Calaxians had thought impossible for primitive humans. "Their flagship is trying to rally the fleet," Reynolds reported from the Thunderchild. "Permission to disable it, Admiral." "Granted. All ships, target the flagship. Show them our real weapons." Every human ship fired at once. Not the simple energy weapons the aliens expected, but advanced quantum beams, gravity torpedoes, and concentrated plasma bursts. The Calaxian flagship's remaining shields shattered like glass. Commander Vex's voice crackled over all channels, panic replacing his earlier arrogance. How did you hide all this? Your species was supposed to be centuries behind us." "We learned long ago to be careful," Admiral Davidson replied. "While you watched our civilian ships, our real fleet grew stronger. While you laughed at our primitive technology, we studied yours and built something better." The battle was over in minutes. The mighty Galaxian invasion fleet floated powerless, their ships dark and silent. Not one human vessel had been lost. Not one human life had been taken. "Send rescue ships to evacuate their crews," Davidson ordered. "Show them that humans know how to be merciful in victory." As human ships moved to help their defeated enemies, Reynolds looked out at the scene from the Thunderchild's bridge. Hundreds of alien ships, helpless before Earth's hidden might. The sight filled him with pride but also sadness for the waste of it all. "Message from Earth Command," Amanda reported. "They say, 'Well done. The galaxy will never underestimate humanity again.'" Davidson's voice echoed through all ships. "Let this be a lesson. Humanity isn't just strong. We're smart enough to hide our strength until it's needed. Send word to Earth. Tell them the turning point is complete." As rescue operations began, the stars seemed to shine brighter. The balance of power had shifted forever, and humanity had revealed itself as a force that could no longer be ignored. The age of pretending to be weak was over. The true age of humanity had begun. Intelligence Officer Thomas Anderson sat alone in his dark office aboard the Thunderchild, surrounded by holographic screens. For 3 days, he had been studying the data recovered from the captured Galaxian ships. His eyes were tired, but he couldn't stop reading. What he found was too important. "Captain Reynolds," he called over the comm. "You need to see this immediately. Bring Fleet Commander Miller too." When Reynolds and Miller arrived, Anderson pointed to the main screen. "Look at these messages. The Galaxians weren't acting alone. They were following orders from someone else." The screen showed encrypted communications between the Galaxian fleet and an unknown source. Anderson had broken the code an hour ago. "There's a group called the Galactic Coalition," Anderson explained. 12 advanced alien races who think they control this part of space. They sent the Galaxians to test us. Reynolds leaned forward, reading quickly. "They wanted to see how strong we really were." "Exactly," Anderson nodded. "The Galaxians were just pawns. The Coalition has been watching Earth for decades. They noticed how we kept discovering new technologies, but never seemed to use them for military purposes." Miller crossed his arms. "So they got suspicious and sent the Galaxians to probe our defenses. But their plan backfired," Anderson said with a small smile. "They expected us to either be truly weak or to have just a few hidden ships. They never imagined we had an entire battle fleet ready." The door opened and Admiral Davidson walked in. She had traveled from her command ship after receiving Anderson's urgent message. "Show me everything," she ordered. Anderson brought up more screens. "The Coalition has representatives nearby, watching this whole thing. They're hiding in a cloaked station just past Neptune's orbit." "Can we detect them?" Reynolds asked. "Already did," Anderson replied. "Their cloaking technology isn't as good as ours. We've known they were there for months." Davidson smiled. "Perfect. Time to invite them to a meeting." She turned to Reynolds. "Captain, prepare the Thunderchild for diplomatic guests. Let's show them our best conference room. The real one, not the fake primitive one we use for show." 2 hours later, the Coalition representatives arrived. 6 alien beings, each from a different advanced race, walked into the Thunderchild's main conference room. They tried to hide their surprise at the ship's true technology level, but their wide eyes gave them away. "Welcome to the UES Thunderchild," Reynolds said politely. "We've been expecting you for some time." The lead representative, a tall being with silver skin, spoke first. "You knew about us all along." "Of course," Davidson replied. "Just as we knew about your test. Did you really think the Galaxians decided to attack Earth on their own?" Anderson stepped forward and played back their own secret communications on the room's holographic display. The Coalition members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "For generations," Reynolds explained, "humanity prepared for this moment. We knew we weren't alone in the galaxy. We knew that when we met advanced aliens, they might not be friendly. So we hid our true strength." "But why pretend to be primitive?" another representative asked. Miller answered, Because we learned from watching you. Every race that showed its power too quickly became a target. So we played a longer game. We built our fleet in secret, Davidson added. Developed technologies that even your races haven't discovered yet. All while showing you exactly what you expected to see. A young, struggling species. The silver-skinned representative nodded slowly. And now we see the truth. Your victory over the Galaxian fleet wasn't luck. You were ready all along. We prefer peace, Reynolds said firmly. But we will defend ourselves if needed. The question is, what happens now? The coalition members looked at each other. Finally, their leader spoke. Perhaps it's time for the coalition to welcome its newest member. That is, if Earth is interested in joining us. As equals. Davidson smiled. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Shall we begin the real negotiations? As the meeting continued, Anderson watched from his corner of the room. Humanity had not only revealed its strength, but had also earned its place among the stars. The game of pretending to be weak was over. A new chapter in human history was about to begin. The galaxy would never be the same. 1 month after the battle near Saturn, Captain Michael Reynolds stood at the massive window of Earth's new Space Command headquarters. Below him, in the launch bays of the hidden lunar base, dozens of warships were preparing to leave dock. Their hulls gleamed with fresh paint, proudly displaying their true Earth fleet markings instead of fake civilian codes. Quite a sight, isn't it? Admiral Davidson walked up beside him. No more hiding our ships as cargo vessels or research stations. Reynolds nodded. Hard to believe just a month ago, we were still pretending to be a primitive species. The door slid open, and Commander Lisa Thompson entered with a tablet. The latest reports from the coalition meeting, she said. They've officially accepted Earth as a full member. We get equal voting rights in all galactic matters. And the Galaxians? Reynolds asked. Still embarrassed, Lisa smiled. But they're being surprisingly good sports about it. Their new leadership wants to start trading with us. Seems getting beaten by Earth's primitive fleet taught them some humility. Through the window, they watched as the first group of ships lifted off. The UES Thunderchild led the formation, its quantum drives glowing bright blue against the black sky. Behind it, 5 new vessels of the Washington class moved in perfect formation. You know what impressed them the most? Davidson said, watching the ships. Not our weapons or our shields. It was how long we managed to keep everything secret. 300 years of careful planning, building our fleet while making sure no one suspected. Technical Officer Robert Wilson joined them, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's full fleet. We're not hiding our numbers anymore either. All 412 ships are now officially registered with the coalition. Any regrets about revealing everything? Lisa asked Reynolds. He shook his head. It was time. We proved we could defend ourselves. Now we can focus on being part of the galactic community, but on our terms, not theirs. The room's main screen lit up with a transmission from the coalition headquarters. The silver-skinned representative appeared, looking more respectful than during their first meeting. Earth Command, he said formally. The Coalition Council has reviewed your defense technology. We would like to propose a joint training program. There are several races interested in learning your methods. Davidson stepped forward. We would be happy to share some of our defensive innovations. After all, that's what allies do. After the transmission ended, Reynolds turned to his crew. Lieutenant Cooper asked me an interesting question yesterday. He wanted to know if we made the right choice, spending so many generations preparing for war instead of just reaching out peacefully. And what did you tell him? Lisa asked. I said that we didn't prepare for war. We prepared to prevent it. By being strong enough that no one would dare start a fight, we actually made peaceful first contact possible. Through the window, more ships were launching. Each one represented decades of human innovation and determination. But now, instead of hiding their strength, they showed it proudly to the galaxy. Message from Earth President. Wilson reported. She's ready to make the public announcement. Every human colony and settlement will finally learn the truth about our fleet. Reynolds straightened his uniform. Time to stop pretending. No more fake ships, no more hidden bases, no more acting weak. The funny thing is, Davidson added, now that everyone knows how strong we really are, we might never need to use that strength again. Peace through preparation. The final group of ships rose from the launch bays. In total, 50 vessels formed up in Earth orbit, their weapons and shields no longer disguised. Across the solar system, hundreds more ships emerged from their hidden docks, ready to patrol openly as Earth's guardians. New orders from Command, Lisa announced. We're to lead a goodwill tour of Coalition space, show the galaxy that humanity comes in peace, but is ready for anything. Reynolds smiled as he watched his ship, the Thunderchild, take its place at the head of the formation. Send the order to all ships. No more hiding. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are. As the Earth fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, their quantum drives lighting up the sky, humanity had finally taken its place among the stars. Not as a primitive species to be conquered, but as a power to be respected. The age of deception was over. The true age of humanity had begun.